Our first step in knife skills is cutting an onion. So the first thing we're going to learn, there's two things on an onion. We can either chop an onion or we can slice an onion. So we're going to start with chopping. And notice I use the word chop. Sometimes you will hear the word dice. Dice means that everything is very square. There's no rounded edges and everything is the same size. Culinary students will learn how to do that, and they actually will be graded for that. Somebody will have a ruler and walk around and make sure all the pieces are exactly the same size and that they're very squared. At home, we tend to do a chop. So a chop will relatively be you don't want a huge piece and a small piece. You're going to have relatively the same size pieces, but you may have some rounded edges. So what we are going to learn is how to chop. The first thing we want to identify on our onion is the stem and the root. In this onion, it is obvious. Sometimes it's not so obvious if this is close, not so tall. So you want to identify those two pieces. Then you want to put your onion on your board. You want to put the root towards your less dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, so it's on my left side. If you are left-handed, you're going to have the root on your right side. Then you want to take your knife and hold it right at that bolster. You're going to take and put the knife, the tip of the knife, in front of the onion on the board. You're going to come down, and you see how that knife stays on the board, and we're going to cut that stem off. So we have the stem off, and we want to cut off enough so we have a nice flat surface. Now when we're cutting, you're going to hear me say advantage chef a lot. Advantage chef means that this onion is stable. It's not going to come and roll around, so we're in control of this. If we had our onion like this is advantage onion. The onion's rolling around and we're probably going to cut ourselves. So when we say advantage chef, we're trying to figure out a way to have it nice and stable on our board. So we put that cut side down. Now we still have this root. Now we want to take our knife, we want to cut through the root but leave it intact. So again, we put the tip of our knife on the board, we cut down, use your shoulder and your arm to give you some leverage. And now we have two sides of the onion and each has a piece of the root. Now we have a handle to take off the peel. Sometimes people try to peel before they cut, but wait, and then you have that nice handle. So you want to take off the peel. You want to take off as the little as possible, but you want to make sure that you have a nice smooth surface and you don't have any of that papery skin, or sometimes there might be a little bruise or something. So take off as much as you have to. So now we have the onion peeled, but we still have that root intact. So now we're going to put that onion flat, again, advantage chef, with that root towards our less dominant hand. Then we're going to do what is called a claw. So a claw, you take your fingers, you claw them up together, and you put that on top of the onion. Just very gently. We're not holding on for dear life. We're not, putting it around this so our fingers get caught. We're just gently kind of giving it a little bit of support at the top. Then we're going to hold our onion that same way. A lot of people tend to want to put that finger here, but that same way, and you're going to take your knife and you're going to put it parallel to the cutting board. But you can see my hand is getting caught up on the cutting board. So you need to take a step back so your hand is off the cutting board and that the knife is parallel to the onion, and you want to cut in the middle third of the knife. We don't want to be too far at the tip. We don't want to be too far at the heel. So we want to be in that middle. We want to be straight across, and we're going to use a sawing motion, and we're going to make a cut. Now, when we get too close up here or too close down here, it's very hard to make that sawing motion, so you want to stay in that middle third of the knife. Now, when we cut, this should be straight across. When you first learn to cut, you may be down or you may be up. This takes a little practice to get that straight cut. Then we take and we go up and make another cut. The number of cuts and how close they are is the size of the chop we're going to get. The more layers, the smaller the chop. The less layers, the bigger the chop. So you can see here we have 3 layers and we're still all connected with that root. So now this was the claw, now we're going to take what's called the bridge. We're going to take our thumb and our middle finger, we're going to hold each side of the onion, and then this index finger is going to help us to hold things as we go along. Then you're going to take the tip of the knife, you're going to put it into the onion, but not all the way through. So see, we're not all the way through, and you want to put it down towards the side, and then you're just going to drop the knife to the cutting board, making sure you go all the way through the onion. Then you come over, do that again, and just like the slices, the smaller the space in between, the smaller the chop. So we keep doing that, and we use this index finger to hold everything together. And you notice we're doing this on a sideways, and we're just dropping. And don't worry that you get a few little pieces, random pieces. So now you have a cut this way, and you have a cut this way, and we're all connected with that root. So now we're going to put our onion back on our board the original way. We're going to take the tip of our knife, we're going to put it in front of the onion, so that third of the knife is positioned over our onion, and we're going to just cut. You just cut back down like that. But you're going to be this way, and you just cut. Very nice and slow. You do not have to go fast. Everybody sees people on TV going very, very fast. You don't need to go fast. Just be accurate and safe. And then when we get close to the end, sometimes it's hard to get that last little bit, so we can take that and push that down, and then we can keep doing our forward motion and get a little more of that onion. And what you're left with is a nice chop of relatively same size. You have this piece of the onion, which you can put into your stock bag, and then you're ready to go. So that was chopping an onion.